So it was the musical season on Oz.
And that's what he thought you may have an issue
Yeah,
with.
that's what he thought I might have an issue with after getting my face pooped on. And
I might be going too far with this one, but... Welcome to Couch Surfing, the show where seasoned guests look back at their big roles, their little roles, and everything in between. I'm here social distancing with J.K. Simmons. J.K., how are you holding up?
We're doing well here, actually. How are you doing?
I'm great. You ready to do this?
Absolutely.
All right.
Wow. This is particularly coincidental because I just gave my son a haircut last night. Not quite that good.
You know, but Pete and Pete was the type of show that both adults and children could enjoy. Was that one of the reasons you were drawn to this project?
Oh, listen, I mean, honestly, I was drawn to that project because I was a theater actor in New York who was just really starting to occasionally get some interest doing a little guest spot here and there. So I was pretty much taking whatever came along at that time. But having said that, I did know both people with kids and people without kids who thought The Adventures of Pete and Pete was a really, really clever show.
You ready to keep surfing? This is gonna be good. All right.
My soul is too much charged with blood of thine already.
I had originally, I almost tried to talk my way out of doing Oz because even though I really wanted to get a career in film and television going as a theater actor in New York, they asked me to play this part and even met, with Tom Fontana. And I was in a position at that point in my career where I wasn't even usually getting into the room with the bigwigs. And he's telling me about this character, and I'm kind of wanting to shy away from it because I'm afraid I'll be typecast for the rest of my life. If this is the first thing most people see me do is play this head of the Aryan Brotherhood on this groundbreaking new show, am I going to have to play the Nazi of the week on every TV show, for the rest of my career? And I think, first of all, I think he's kind of incredulous because he's like, does this idiot realize what he's, the gift horse that he's looking in the mouth now? But then he also said, look, if you're nervous about this and you don't want to, you're afraid you don't want to be in this for the long haul, he said, any day, any time that you want to be off the show, just let me know and I'll kill your character off. So then he finally did kill me off, of course, as we saw in the very last episode.
Up next.
Ever heard the phrase folie à deux?
Well, this is Dr. Amy Schumer,
Yes.
the shrink on both Law. Well, actually, I played Amy Schumer on 4 different shows. And obviously, at this point, I had grown a mustache for some other thing. So Dr. Schumer had a mustache because that was a recurring part that I never knew when they were going to call. I also played Amy Schumer. This is a real trivia question winner on a 4th TV show not called Law and Order, and that was a show called another Dick Wolf show in New York called New York Undercover.
Shut up! Are you kidding?
One episode. There might have only been one scene.
I have to ask you about the residuals because Law and Order SVU, the Mothership, Criminal Intent, they're on all the time.
I mean, obviously there's the law of diminishing returns there. You get those first few residual checks and you're thinking, oh, great, this will, I did 56 episodes, that'll pay the mortgage. And then, now it's like lunch at, Poquito Mas.
Welcome back to Couch Surfing. I'm still here with J.K. Simmons. J.K., shall we continue?
I think we should.
All right, let's do it.
Oh, here we go. Hair, look. I was doing my second film in a row with Sam, a movie called The Gift. And word got out that he was going to be the director of Spider-Man. And some friends of mine reached out to me and, oh, hey, Sam must like you because you've done 2 things in a row. You should play the bad guy in the new Spider-Man movie. And fortunately for me, Sam had a better idea. But, the producers and the people at Sony and they needed to be convinced because obviously there were a lot of much more high profile actors that they had in mind that would help with the box office and that they knew they could count on. And so I had to go do the old school classic camera test for the producers, and it was very nerve-wracking. And it included a scene where the Green Goblin breaks through the glass of my office, the windows, and picks me up by the throat and lifts me up in the air and is strangling me. So if you can imagine, I'm holding the script pages, reading the scene on the audition, but then at the same time trying to, pretending I'm being lifted by the neck and choked.
So you reappear at the very end of the latest Spider-Man Far From Home, right? Can we expect to see you in the next installment?
I don't know if I would use the word expect. When we signed on for the first movie, we signed a contract to do 2 sequels as well, which is always that's always a one-sided, or not always, but I guess, but in my case, a one-sided contract where you're committed to do it, but they're not necessarily committed to use your character in the ensuing movies. So it's great to have the opportunity as these things evolve to be one of the holdovers from the previous version.
All right, up next.
Are you having boy trouble? Because I got to be honest, I don't very much approve of you dating in your condition.
Such amazingly
it's kind of messed up.
Idiosyncratic and specific dialogue by Diablo Cody, and thank you, Jason Reitman.
What was your initial reaction to this script?
Well, Reitman, I ended up inviting him to a poker game, a bunch of guys that I'd played with off and on over the years, and he was like, well, I don't really play poker. And I, of course, said, perfect, bring your money. And at one game, he brought this, hard copy script to me and said, you can't show this to anybody. I read the script and, of course, immediately fell in love with the part of Mac McGuff. But he hadn't said, I want you to play that part. And I was, I knew enough to know that they were going to probably go out to better known actors for that role. Got the call the next day, or made the call the next day, I think, saying, wow, that's such a great script and it's going to be a wonderful movie. And, was trying to be as sort of general in my conversation as possible. And finally, at one point, he stopped me and goes, I want you to play Mac. You know that, right? And I go, no, ass, you didn't tell me that. You didn't, thank you. And yes.
Let's keep surfing, all right?
5, 6, 7. Not quite my tempo. Yeah, this is vaguely familiar.
Obviously, this film went on to receive universal praise and won you the Golden Globe and the Oscar. Take me back to that moment when your name was called. It was almost more a sense of relief, because everyone who knows the business had told me, dude, you're like 1,000 to 1 odds in Vegas. I mean, it's going to be you. So relax and just have fun, And I chased the Steadicam guy, who was in my face at that time, sort of chased him up and ended up going up the wrong set of stairs. And Lupita is standing there with the trophy that she's going to hand to me. And I reach out to take the trophy with my left hand, and I'm starting to reach out with my right hand for like a handshake. And then I go, oh, no, this is Hollywood. You don't shake hands. You do the little, cheek kiss, air kiss, pretend thing. Mm-hmm. So I did this kind of faked her out. So if this is probably on YouTube. If you watch carefully, you'll see a little bit of a headbutt. Oh.
I basically headbutted Lupita in that awkward moment, which she handled very graciously, and she walked off on her own 2 feet. So I think she was okay.
She was fine. All right, up next.
You gonna say something?
Oh, here we are.
That scene right there with Chris Evans was intense. Did you enjoy facing off with Captain America?
Yeah, I mean, that was certainly a part of the draw, because we, everybody knows Chris Evans, Captain America, and I really liked his work in a couple of other things before and during, his whole run on Marvel. And my wife and daughter and I had seen him in a play in New York a year or two before this. So I knew I was a fan of his work, and I had a good feeling that he was going to be a good guy to work with. My career plan now is to play the father of every handsome, blue-eyed movie star stud named Chris. So I checked off my Chris Evans box. Right. I just finished a film with Chris Pratt where I play his father. So that's number 2. So if you're casting out there, I'm looking, Chris Pine. I'm available.
And Hemsworth.
And Chris Hemsworth would be, in either order. I mean, we don't have to go alphabetical, whatever.
Right.
Whatever comes
You're
along.
Flexible.
Yeah.
Oh, JK, you have been fantastic. You're number 1 on the call sheet of our hearts, definitely. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. My pleasure. This was great.
All right. And you can watch Defending Jacob now on Apple TV+. See you next time on Couch Surfing. Bye.